A lot of times if I get pushback, I kind of give the example, like, you wouldn't go to like a doctor without them doing maybe some blood work. They can't just prescribe you stuff without doing some of their own tests, right?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't bring your car into a mechanic and just say, start throwing parts at it. I can do that, but it sounds like a Band-Aid fix. And at that point, I might now introduce, well, say if you've been here, if you just moved in, were you aware that you had pretty much like an outlawed panel inside your home?
Right.
And then we can kind of maybe do that transition. So what I do is I pull up my phone, ask them, hey, do you have your cell phone on you? Do me a favor and just look up Federal Pacific real quick on Google. And I'll be like, I don't want to be the person that tells you because, like I said, I'm not here to scare you or anything along those lines. I just want to make sure that you are well-versed and well-educated in your home's electric system. I usually tell them it's kind of like a bicycle chain. Now I can tell you that I can fix this circuit today by just replacing this one outlet, but you'll probably see me in a month. I mean, it's kind of like a bicycle chain. You don't go ahead. If the chain stretches, the chain breaks, you don't just replace that one link that broke. You replace the entire chain.
Yeah.
So, it's a more permanent solution at the end of the day.
Tim, thank you so much for being here today. Greatly appreciate it. For those who haven't met you yet at an expo or training, can you share with everyone your name, company name, where you guys are located?
Yeah, my name is Tim Entremont. I work for Dawson's Electric and Air. We're right out of Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina.
Very good. And what do you do for them?
I'm a service tech.
Service tech, electrician, right?
Oh, yeah,
Electrician. You got to shout out those electricians. That's right. Talking for a great reason. You had a fantastic year last year, and this is your third year, you said, as the crown champion?
Yep, third.
So what did you sell last year?
865.
865. Sold and installed. We got to be sure to say, because I know we've got some people who do the sales tech model.
Oh, yeah.
Don't install, but you're sweating it out and getting it all in there too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited to learn about how you run service calls and get people happily involved with your projects. But before we do that, I always love learning people's stories, how they got to where they are.
Yep.
So I want to learn about yours. So how did you get into the electrical world? Was it like right out of high school, or what's the connection?
I grew up right outside of Boston, and I went to a school. There was a vocational school, so we had the opportunities that you can pick a trade.
Yeah.
So versus going to high school, which I knew I wasn't going to be good at school anyways, I decided to go that route of vocational school.
Yeah.
I picked electrical, so I started off there my freshman year.
How'd you pick electrical, by the way?
Well, it's a licensed trade. I worked with my father for years doing finished carpentry, and he always told me to go ahead and, pick like a licensed field to go ahead.
Is that right?
And go after, yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, you got to go that way.
Yep.
More money that way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Less knuckleheads, and when you've got to get the licensing and stuff.
Absolutely.
So right away, you're like, okay, I'm going to take these classes and figure it out. Okay. All right. Yep. So what'd you do? See, after you get through school, what was next?
So, the lucky part for me was where it's a vocational school. I actually we're able to get hired out in like your junior year. So I got hired out my junior year. So I only had to go to school 2 weeks out of the month, and the other 2 weeks I'll be working on the field.
Right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is there a lot of that in Boston area where they?
It's a very popular thing probably in the whole Northeast corridor.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, because I think there's more and more need for that.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's weird. I was just talking to a member about this yesterday. It's like there's certain pockets of the country that do a good job with promoting the trades, but then there's other areas like I feel like you don't hear it at all. So that's really neat that's a big thing.
Yep.
So what kind of work were you doing then?
So I got hired out as pretty much like a commercial apprentice.
Is it commercial?
Yeah. So we did all like the high rises in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. As a young guy, you're like seeing you downtown.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Definitely learned a whole lot.
Yeah.
And kind of progressed from there.
Yeah. So where did you go after that?
So once I got done with there, I wanted to kind of venture off, and then I worked for another company right outside of Boston and it was mostly like, remodel work. So we worked on like the brownstones in Boston. So
okay.
It was a lot of like remodel work, old knob and tube wiring. And we did some like HVAC controls and stuff like that.
Were you talking to the customer at all, or were you just doing the work? Okay.
Nah, so it was pretty much just, we had one salesman for the entire electric division. And he would just bid out jobs, and then he would just give us a sheet and say, go do it.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yep.
How long were you there?
Probably about 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Okay. So what was the next step?
From there, at that point I got my journeyman license up there. So I decided, I kind of left that company, and I just wanted to kind of start doing like my own thing for a little while.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I went back to work with my father while I was trying to get my own work going.
Yeah.
And then from there, ultimately, we just couldn't really honestly afford Boston. So
That's expensive.
yeah, so we decided, let's kind of changed up the pace. So we moved to North Carolina.
All right. So how did you pick North Carolina?
Well, my brother, he's here at he was at Fort Bragg down there as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Looks like family's a little close.
Yeah.
Yeah, some connection for sure. Okay.
yeah, it definitely made that move way easier.
Yeah. Well, and I get it. It's an expensive town, and you're a young guy, young couple trying to figure out life and stuff. You're like, good Lord, what's real estate? So that's what I give you credit. Uproot and try something new. So so here you're in a new town.
Yep.
Looking for work. So where did you end up?
I ended up with like a small mom and pop shop for a little while.
Doing residential service?
It wasn't even service yet, man. I mean, it was kind of one of those deals. He would just kind of hand me a sheet of paper. I was doing like 100,000 square foot warehouses and stuff like that. Just me and like two other guys. I was just the lead on everything.
Yeah. So you were always good at the work then, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it was, I just take pride in what I do, and I like the quality of work.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you're in the right space then.
Oh yeah.
All right. So how long were you there?
I was there for probably about 3 years.
Okay.
And then I went to another company, and I only lasted there for about 8 months.
So I'm just intrigued because we get a lot of business owners who are listening to this too. So you're at this mom and pop shop. What wasn't good about it? Like, because people are going to listen. They're like, how do I keep a guy like you from jumping?
I mean, he knew it was going to happen. I mean, this is something that I'm very honest and open with, any like employers and stuff like that about what pretty much what I need. And,
And he wasn't meeting that.
No, and he knew that he couldn't, just because it was a smaller shop. So
were they just not priced right, I guess?
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they couldn't really afford me.
Yeah. No, I mean, but you know what? To me, if I'm watching this and I'm a small mom and pop electrical company, and I go, you want a guy like you. How do you retain him? You got to get yourself priced right so you can pay you right, and then grow the business. But a lot of people are too afraid to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to just bring this up because, again, we get a lot of frontline folks, electricians will watch this, but I know a lot of owners will watch this. So people are nervous about raising your prices. You got to take care of your people because you know how many Crown Champion walked out the door thinking you're doing that at that place, how that would affect that business.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So you leave and you go to another small company?
But I'll backtrack a little bit. Even when I was working for that small mom and pop shop, he actually sent me to Briggs & Stratton training.
Oh, is that right?
I was in Richmond, Virginia, and that's where I actually met the owner of Dawson's.
Oh.
So me and him, we got for dinner one night. I just wasn't living close enough to, pretty much work for Travis at the time.
Yeah.
So after that, I went to a different company. I lasted for 8 months. I mean, nothing.
But did you guys stay in contact?
So I ran into him a couple times. I just told him when I moved close, I'll just come and find him. And funny enough, I worked for that company for 8 months.
Yeah, what was the deal with that one? You sound like it was not a good.
That was not a good fit.
Just the owners.
It was. I mean, there was no rhyme or reason for anything. I mean, you can't expect somebody to wake up in the morning and just send them, 2 hours away without any type of warning or anything along those lines. I mean, the work wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So. I mean, like I said, I didn't last very long over there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, from dispatching to the owners to everybody in between, nobody wanted to take accountability, and I just saw that as a big, giant red flag.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Like, why? Yeah. Wake up. Here's a 2-hour drive home.
Oh, yeah.
Better find something good to listen to. It's going to be in there for a while.
Yep.
So, all right. So then you're like, hey.
So then pretty much we bought our first home. We were renting for that entire kind of period. And from there, I mean, I actually ran into Travis at Home Depot, and I said, hey, you still got that job?
Is that right?
Yep.
Home Depot.
Oh, yeah. And it's the local Home Depot where both of us live, and that's where his shop's at. So I kind of went in there. He invited me down for an interview, and, he kind of gave me the whole tour and told me what he was about. And, it was pretty much a done deal with that.
Is that right? So that's been, a little over 3 years then?
Yeah, a little bit over 3 years.
Because how many trucks you guys roll right now?
For service techs, I mean, we probably got up, I would say, probably 7.
Is that right?
Yeah, 7 trucks now on the road. I mean, when we first started there, I mean, it was just myself and 2 other guys, and we actually have one of them here.
That's
as a Crown Champ. So
that's neat.
Yeah.
So it's even neater because you could see that evolution, right? You didn't walk into it just like that way. You've seen it grow.
Oh, yeah.
So again, you at this point, you had not been quoting work, you had not been selling work, you just been doing the work. So it's a big evolution.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to learn. So what was your like onboarding experience and how to deliver service a certain way? Did you just ride along or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, a lot of it was just doing complete ride-alongs throughout everything. I mean, I got to work with some of the guys that've been there for a while. They just started introducing like the process per se.
Yeah.
So I kind of, picked up on what some of the other guys were saying and realizing that, I mean, that's probably what I wouldn't say, because I mean, you also got to make it human nature.
Sure.
I mean, because human nature is going to come first before everything.
Totally agree with you.
Process is just a guideline.
Yeah, it's funny. I was doing interviews yesterday and with a lot of crown champions, and a lot of it's what you say. You got to say the right things. Yeah. But if you don't have the right body posturing and tone, like,
oh yeah,
people are going to go, well, I'm not going to spend $4,000 with you. It's like, I don't believe you. You don't believe you. You look like you just gave me a price that you don't.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you got to kind of make it your own, right?
Oh yeah.
So you learn that, I guess, from watching. It's like, okay, that's not my style.
Yep.
Right. So how long were you riding along with folks then?
I mean, Travis, you put me with them, I would say for probably about like a month and a half, 2 months, and then he just released me.
You go, hey, you're a good communicator. People like you.
Yeah.
You obviously know how to do the work. That's always the big thing, right?
That's probably like the biggest juggle for most company owners, is making sure, I mean, because it's their license pretty much at the end of the day for run that business. So they want to make sure that you got what it takes to make sure that, the company stays afloat, and
for sure,
you don't screw up or anything.
So you're doing ride-alongs? Are you guys doing trainings at the office?
Oh yeah. I mean, every single Tuesdays, man, we have an hour-long training session.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
What does that look like? Because people watch this and go, hour every, doing it every week. Like, what do I talk about? We hear that all the time. How do you train?
Absolutely.
What do you talk about? So yeah, what are kind of the topics you guys will tackle?
I mean, what's pretty cool now is like I actually jumped out of a truck at the beginning of the year, so I actually do other training sessions now.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that's super cool. But being able to watch like Service Titan, I can do call-by-call management with some of the guys.
Are you?
Yeah, we talk about what was kind of discussed, and have you earned the right to talk about something outside of the work scope that they actually called you there for.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of times I can see what we what we've done and what we missed on and stuff like that, and then I'll just take bits and pieces and I separate some of the guys out from one another, so that way we can kind of do a little bit more in-depth training with them per se. Because you can't just keep training on the same thing where some guy might be at a higher level than the others. So it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of like unrewarding at the end of the day.
What led us to attend the event today, we've been watching the Certain Path podcast on YouTube for quite some time, and it just had a lot of good content, so we wanted to come and see what that content was live. Coming into this, I had no expectations of what it might be. I've never experienced anything like this before, but it proved to be a truly moving and engaging experience all the way around. My most powerful insight from this is that there are other contractors just like me, just struggling to make it, to figure it out, and it's wonderful to know that there's a network of people that can help support you and have your back. The most exciting thing, the take home here, what we're going to implement is going to be the call taking and dispatching for profit. I can truly see from the coaches what the value of that is, and for us that's going to be step one. I would recommend others come and experience so that they can find out what they don't know, to understand that they don't know what they don't know, and to be able to experience a community that's willing to help answer that question.
You still need to know the basics, but if people checked out, then it's not worthwhile.
Yeah.
So are you out of a truck completely now?
Yeah. I'll still run some of like my main clients that they don't want anybody else besides me showing up in their home.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
So what's that like? Here's a guy, you've been doing the work, you're good at the work. I'm sure you liked it, but you know where you have a skill set, another skill set that you can make the company even better, right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like, I like helping people. So, I mean, if I can help other techs grow and, grow their paychecks and we can grow the business from the inside out, I mean, that makes a whole lot more sense in my opinion.
For sure. Let's talk about that evolution, because that's been a topic. We're at Expo right now. Mm-hmm. We were talking about onboarding managers and stuff like that. So, you guys we're a small business. You're getting bigger. You're growing, but you guys, Travis didn't have a service manager before. I'm guessing you're the first one, right? So, what was your training like? It's just like, hey, you're really good with the guys. You're good at the process. Kind of figure it out, or how are you guys? Do you talk a lot and how to manage things?
I mean, a lot of it is right now. I mean, he's seen that, a lot of the guys were calling me while I was out in the field. So, I mean, my phone was pretty much consistently ringing.
You were like almost a field leader.
Yeah. So with that being said, it just kind of evolved into that point where, I was already helping the guys as is. And I knew what kind of needed to be done on some of the guys. And I knew what needed to be done on maybe some of the other guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So how about you, but your mental mindset? I mean, as a guy, that's a struggle. Like, let's struggle with owners. We deal with that. We deal with a lot of small companies and for a lot of owners, they just struggle like, hey, I love my customers. I love being in the field, but that's not how businesses grow, right? And even for you, you see that it sounds like, as a top performing 3-time crown champion, you're making probably good money, but you're like, to be a part of this growing business, you have to remove yourself from that, right?
Yeah.
You were good with that. You understood that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you had the right mindset.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, it all starts at the beginning of each day is, how your mindset is going into either running a service truck or even going into the shop first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super important. That's actually some of the things that we train on with the guys.
So yeah, you're running the trainings now. So where are you finding your inspiration for these weekly trainings? Where how are you deciding on content to deliver?
I mean, it all depends on the week, on the previous week's performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of, as like a tech, I can see what jobs come into. I can see which ones might be really profitable.
Yeah.
So I can just kind of like hone in on maybe some of those that like maybe we missed a step.
Right.
Or, you didn't earn the right to essentially, talk about their panels because they called you out there for like their outlets.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, I mean, that's something that we constantly go over, in like the training sessions. That's
cool. It's because you're keeping an eye on the ticket. So yeah, are you just like all day? You said you're doing call by call.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys do call? Their call by call means a lot of things to different businesses.
Oh yeah,
I want to dig into that. So how do you guys employ call by call?
So a lot of it is like the guys will upload like the photos to like the job.
Yeah,
and pretty much I'll have them call me before they go in there and speak with the homeowners about essentially like their options, so we can kind of discuss what they're gonna like be providing them.
Okay, let me slow you down real quick. Are you talking to the tech before they go to the job too?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's the first touch point is driving to.
Yeah, I mean, so it all depends if they want to call me before they go in there. I wouldn't say it happens all the time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So you're like, hey, Mrs. Jones, we've been out to the home before, done X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
So they run the cert. They're there. They make the connection, build a rapport, doing the inspections. So then they call you like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. And you're like, okay, this is how to build the option. That's what you're going with?
Yeah, I mean, or, I mean, our guys, they were great already. So, I mean, I trust them entirely to create like their own options. I just want to make sure that we've, set the groundwork to even go in there and you've actually, trial closed enough to literally sit down at that table.
Right. So, so that's interesting. So you're like, hey, are you doing the little closes along the way?
Yep.
How do you ask like, hey, Joe, have you done X? How have you done trial close? Like, how talk me through that conversation? What's that?
So I mean, a lot of times is I can from when we're sitting there on like Service Titan, I can see that they've created options for like panels, but I know we're out there for like lighting fixtures.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, have you, what questions have you asked in order to earn the right to give them an option to talk about their panel right now? Or it's like, you hire a roofer, he's out there talking about your driveway. You just can't do that just yet.
That's right.
You got to earn that right to talk about that.
That's smart. That's good. Because we talk about it. I mean, it's wild because you can, with software, you can see everything in real time now.
Oh yeah.
We used to talk all the time like, you get these techs that have great numbers or great average or great tickets, but their closing is awful because they do these home runs. They go 8. They're top options. All these things. They're like, wait a minute, did you even talk about it? And some people say yes, but a lot will say no, and that's how closing goes on. So that's right. Ask those questions to get people to think about it.
Oh yeah,
that's fascinating. Okay, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, we work enough with the guys that, they know like my motto is pretty much, I want to go in there, we'll get the capital, then we'll come back for the entire state at a later time.
Oh, okay. I like that little mindset.
Yeah. I mean, because realistically, I mean, some clients, they just don't have the means to go ahead and do everything all at one time. And you don't want to overwhelm them either. And that's something that you got to be able to pick up on at the same time.
Yeah. And I always think it's like electrical and plumbing, especially, there's like so much in a home. I feel like you could redo a whole house. You walk in a house that's built in the 60s, like you really need to just redo everything. But it's like you don't want to like. It's shocking, no pun intended. So that makes sense. But we'll dig into how you build options in a little bit. But that's fair. So you'll talk to them in the middle of the call. and then you debrief at the end, or what?
So we do have, we have awesome dispatcher at the shop. So she does all of that, So let's just say if those guys went in there and, let's just say they collected just the dispatch fee.
Ooh.
They're responsible for calling me.
Ah, good.
So that way we can talk about it.
And they know it's coming.
I don't like emails at the end of the day. I don't like sending emails. I want to figure out what happened, and what was the final objections, because that goes right in my notebook, and guess what we're training on next week.
Yeah.
If we have a rhyme of reason, if, we're getting, objections of, spouses, guess what? We're going back right to that objection hallway the next week, and we're closing those doors.
Yeah.
Consistently.
How do you, we'll see what you say, but, a lot of people, when you're doing call by call like that, it's you got to think of it as a coaching experience.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of other folks, let's say old school guys, they're like, why the hell, what are you doing there? Like, you're like jumping guys, but you can't do that. Like, because you guys got to go to a next call, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to ruin the next call the rest of it. So how do you, and I'm sure it's aggravating at times if someone does something, you're like, we've talked about this 50 times, we've trained about, but it happens, right? It's human nature, or maybe the homeowner was eccentric and threw them. So how do you have the right coaching mindset?
So, I mean, you just can't get mad at people. I mean, because realistically, being angry with people, being upset, that's going to portray, and guess what's going to happen at the next call? They're going to fumble it, they're going to drop it. And at the end of the day, I'm able to, tell them what's going on in, a nice, friendly manner.
Right.
In a way that makes sense for them without, belittling them or seeming like I'm micromanaging. It's just like, hey, don't forget to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And you got, how often is what you're doing just like kind of getting them pumped up versus the mechanics, like, or just massaging? I don't say massaging egos, but like if you get a hard rejection or something, and the guy really did a good job presenting everything, but someone's just like, whatever, they're just saying no. Yeah. How much of it is it just like, hey, you got this, you know what you're doing, sounds like you did everything right?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, even if we do collect a dispatch fee, I still consider that a seed planted for the future.
Yeah.
I mean, because, a lot of the calls that, I've gotten over the years are ones that I had one of the best consultations, and I still just send me an email at the end. But, a couple months later, they go, we're going to do absolutely everything.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it happens.
Boring, right? Yeah. And some people just genuinely are like, I want to think about it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. But, you just can't take the mindset that you bring into it from the first call. So if you lose the first call, clean slate it. Let's move right into the second call. Because the second call, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to knock it out of the park.
That's a great little tip. I was going to say, so how do you, like, when you're not in the truck now day to day anymore, but how do you reframe that and just go, you know what, that happened. It is what it is. But I've got another. Is it just your nature? Did you have a process, and how to just?
I mean, it definitely affected me, and I realized once I've stayed in like a negative mindset that it was traveling from job to job to week to week to month to month. I mean, I've had low points where I couldn't even make over, $3,000 like a week.
Yeah,
and I just realized that it was literally myself getting in the way of actually being more successful.
Yeah. You probably could see in how you engage the customer.
Oh, absolutely.
Body language.
Yeah.
It's wild what your mind can do.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But that's good. Once you pick up on that, you're like, okay, so you just got to compartmentalize that and go, hey, that's that person. We got another opportunity.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So I want to dig into the secret sauce, how you run calls and how you coach your guys, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you were getting dispatched to a job, how would you prepare yourself? Like, how much research would you do on the customer, what the situation is? Kind of talk about your process.
I mean, in all honesty, I would just check the history, see if we've been out there before. And that's pretty much as far as I would go, because I want to be the person. They can tell dispatch what they want, but realistically, at the end of the day, I know that 9 times out of 10, those jobs are entirely different.
Yeah.
By the time we close that job out, if the person wanted light fixtures, now I'm doing recessed lights throughout the entire home. So, it's a clean slate. In all honesty, I just listen to music, check the history, and just go to it, because everything's a fresh slate, even if somebody's been there before.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very good. All right. So you've got an idea why they called, but again, that's going to turn into whatever it is. You pull up to the house, you walk up quickly, knock on the door, they open the door. I'm sure you do the booties and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah,
that's important. It sets the tone.
Yep.
How do you start? What's the first thing? You meet a homeowner. what do you do to start building a relationship, talking? I mean, I'm sure there's people who'll drag you, or hey, here's the outlet, or
Absolutely.
or do you start asking questions about the job right away? So what do you do as soon as you get in the home?
I mean, usually I just go in there, we'll make some introductions. I thank them for having us out here. If they're a previous customer, I also thank them for also choosing us again.
Yeah.
And it all depends on like the customer's personality. I would pretty much just ask them, what's going on? What are y'all looking to have done today?
Yeah.
And, I see that, I might just maybe reiterate why we're there in the first place. So it looks like, so it pretty much tells them that I am paying attention to why I'm there, but I just want them to tell me first.
Sure.
So a lot of times, from there, we'll just kind of go into some areas and stuff like that. We'll kind of have some small talk and kind of
observant to see what people like, pictures on the wall, cars, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Make small talk, start building that general rapport.
Yep.
All right, I want to talk some situations. So let's start the dead outlet, right? That leads to the diagnostic.
Yes.
I'm sure you guys sell the diagnostic separately, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But for homeowners, they're like, wait a minute, I already paid a service fee. Why am I paying another fee for you just to look around the house?
Yeah.
I'm sure you get some
absolutely.
So how do you explain to someone what a diagnostic is and why that is an investment they need to make?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of times I can kind of give you like an idea of how I run like the diagnostic before I even get to that diagnostic level.
Yeah.
When we get there, what I'll do is I always tell everybody that I'm going to do a visual assessment because they're already paying us, we have a $69 truck fee to go out there.
Yeah.
I'll spend about 30 minutes before I even get to that diagnostic level.
Okay.
I'll put my plug tester in there. I'll pop the panel cover off. If they're available to come with me, I'll have them follow along, tag along with me.
So even on a dead outlet call,
absolutely.
So how do you explain to someone? They're like, wait a minute. I told you to go look. That's why you need to go to the panel. So how do you explain to someone why you need to get there?
Well, the entire system works entirely all together.
Okay.
That's pretty much people will understand it at that point. Just because we have something going on here with my visual assessment, sometimes I can just visually see what's going on.
Yeah.
We'll take a look inside the panels. We'll take a look around that room that it's in, see if we have any other outlets that might be dead that you just haven't even seen yet.
Right.
And then once we get past that point, I think I built enough value that I spent about 30 minutes just to kind of go through it. And now I'm going to talk with them. And usually I just set like the example or the expectations up at the beginning. We'll do the visual assessment.
Yeah.
And then if I need to go into anything more, I'll let you know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then by then, it's the diagnostic pitch.
Okay. Yeah. Which is what do you say?
So a lot of times, unfortunately, I didn't see anything out of sorts, and I can't really pinpoint. So we're really gonna have to start breaking down the entire system right now for me to ultimately figure out what's going on.
Okay.
In order for us to do that, it's gonna be a diagnostic.
Yeah.
We have 4 different levels here. It's not gonna be a level 4. It's not gonna be a level 1, but you're gonna be starting off with like a level 2 or like a level 3, depending on the circuit,
right,
or the age of the home,
right.
And if, a lot of times if I get pushback, I kind of give the example, like, you wouldn't go to like a doctor without them doing maybe some blood work. They can't just prescribe you stuff without doing some of their own tests, right?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't bring your car into a mechanic and just say, start throwing parts at it. I can do that, but it sounds like a Band-Aid fix to me.
Yeah, that makes sense when you put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? But people had never heard that before. So you've got to educate them. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you do your diagnostic. How about, I'm intrigued because, I love it. You go to the panel, you look at the whole system. But let's say it's a ceiling fan call.
Yeah,
this is what you do, a ceiling fan change out again.
Yeah.
Why are you going to the panel? So how do you explain again? It's just like, hey, it's a whole system. You explain it the same way?
So it might be a little bit differently. I mean, depending on, once again, the age of home, I want to make sure that the system's safe enough for myself to work on as well as safe enough for you and your family.
Yeah.
So what I'll have to do, since the entire system works together, I'm just going to take a quick look around. We'll just make sure everything's up to spec. And
you say it's a safety thing. I don't want to touch anything until I know the electricity's off in that room. Or
I wouldn't really hone in more so on safety because that kind of gets people concerned. And for me personally, it kind of sounds a little salesy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I kind of drop like the safety thing like completely out of like my vocabulary. I call it system.
You just talk system.
System.
Yeah.
I'm not here to scare anybody. I don't want to put it into like a scare tactic.
Sure. All right. So you go to the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it is old, or it's a Federal Pacific or something wild like that. And you said you try to have the homeowner go with you?
Yeah.
How often do the homeowner?
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say probably, 2 times out of 10.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. But let's say you see something alarming, like it is a Federal Pacific or Zinsco or something like that, or it's just, What do you do? How do you, because you got to bring that up, right? You have to earn it. You talked about it earlier. So talk me through that process once you see something like that.
I mean, a lot of times it's going to be, a lot of like open-ended questions. I want to now dig into that customer.
But you're like, Mrs. Jones, can you come take a look at, right? You got to get them there.
Oh, yeah. Even before even that, I'll do a lot of like open-ended questions. Just because I want to now start building that relationship. I want to figure out what their plans are for the home.
Right.
Because I want it to make sense to them. So, I mean, I want to figure out when they purchase the home, how long they plan on staying in the home, if they're making like any remodels or anything along those lines. Because once I start touching this, I kind of own it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I might now introduce, say if you've been here, if you just moved in, were you aware that you had pretty much like an outlawed panel inside your home?
Right.
And then we can kind of maybe do that transition.
Right. So that's once you bring them to the panel, you have that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now I got you. Okay. And so they're like, no, I didn't know anything about that. So you just educate them like, hey, these things are, I like an outlawed panel. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So again, you're the ceiling fan. All of a sudden, we're having this talk about a panel, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it's a safety concern. Like, how do you talk to people about those panels in particular? Like that you said you didn't like to bring up safety to scare.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Those are legitimately safety concerns. So
I won't be the person to tell them, but you know what's going to happen. If they didn't want to do anything with it, well, what do you think the first thing that they're going to do as soon as I leave? They're going to go run to Google. So what I do is I pull up my phone, I type in federal. I already ask them, hey, do you have your cell phone on you?
Yeah.
Do me a favor and just look up Federal Pacific real quick on Google.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I don't want to be the person that tells you because, like I said, I'm not here to scare you or anything along those lines. I just want to make sure that you are well-versed and well-educated in your home's electric system.
So at that point, they look at it like, when do you start talking about, okay, do you want to think about replacing it? You want to start the soft closes we were talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's that conversation like? Like, hey, you want to do this or like an option for it, or do you not push to that point? You just go on.
So it all depends. I mean, it's all depending on like the customer's, personality types. I might ask them, what would you like to do about this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be more than happy while I'm out here. I could at least provide you with like an estimate to go ahead and get that all taken care of for you. So that way, even if you don't want to do it today, at least you could stick it in that back pocket for, a rainy day.
Right. So you'll build that. You're going to give them an option.
Oh, absolutely.
One way or another. Like,
you have to.
You have to. Yeah. You know what? That's a great. You said that you have to. Because it's for their betterment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's for their it's for their safety, for their family's safety.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. All right. So you went to the panel, but like obviously there's a whole lot of stuff in a home that can have old electrical stuff. Maybe they don't have GFCIs in bathrooms. Will you ultimately do a whole home safety inspection?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. And how do you explain to people why you're here for the ceiling fan and all of a sudden you're walking around?
Yeah.
How do you tell people why that, or why you're doing that?
Well, because, we are the last licensed electricians on site. So it's my responsibility to go ahead and make sure that you are very well educated in the current standings of every home's electric system.
Okay.
And a lot of people just understand that, because it's liability at the end of the day, especially for us in North Carolina.
Right.
Because all it takes is for one license to run the business. So we want to make sure that, we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's at the same time.
And so people get that. You don't get a lot of pushback.
No.
Yeah.
And and if there is any pushback, I just say, it's complimentary for you. You could do with it whatever you want. If you want me to provide you with estimates, now if there's something that's just so far out of whack, it's my job to make sure that you are well educated in that, and I have to provide you with estimates for that.
Yeah.
Whether you want to do it or not, it's entirely up to you. It's your home.
I like you to say it's educated. Just want you to know what's going on in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
And then who wouldn't want to know what's going on in their home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you go move forward with it or not, then it's up to you.
Yep.
But at least I did my job.
Yep.
So how do you handle let's see the GFCI thing? Like, how do you explain? People are like, what the hell? I don't know. This is a plug. I put things in there. Like, so how do you educate people on something like that? Why the necessity in the bathroom or the kitchen? Why you need to have that?
I mean, a lot of times I like to create like a visual or I almost like to paint a picture per se. We call them shock protected outlets, or I call them personal protection outlets or something along those
lines. You make it like, oh, now I get what it is, right? Because I'm like, what is that? But so I like it. You reframe it and what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I usually just give them examples too. Like, when I cook, in my kitchen, those countertops, they get pretty wet with stuff, if I'm cooking up chicken and stuff. Let's just say you got a tear in the bottom of your appliance in that electrical cord, and you didn't know it, and you just had a bunch of water up underneath there. Could you imagine what could happen?
Yeah.
So that's what those devices are there to go ahead and do.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Is to prevent, any type of injury to the home.
All right. So did you get those a lot? Or
I mean,
here and there?
I would definitely say here or there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about like in that outlet example where it's like, okay, we're going to replace one outlet, but we probably should think about doing them all. I mean, the house is all old. All the plates are falling apart and all that stuff. So how do you get people to think, hey, maybe it's really good to do the whole, all the outlets in the room, or at least maybe even the house?
Yeah.
How do you have that conversation?
I mean, a lot of times it's probably going to be, I usually tell them it's kind of like a bicycle chain.
Yeah.
Now I can tell you that I can fix this circuit today by just replacing this one outlet,
Right.
but you'll probably see me in a month. I mean, it's kind of like a bicycle chain. You don't go ahead, if the chain stretches, the chain breaks, you don't just replace that one link that broke, you replace the entire chain.
Yeah.
So, it's a more permanent solution at the end of the day.
Do you guys do a lot of rewires?
I mean, I would say probably less than 10 a year, in all honesty.
So not a lot. That's yeah. So it's just in your area. It's not a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we don't really push a whole lot because of obviously like the price tag. I mean, we obviously will provide people with options that require it, or if we have older wiring systems, but it's not something that I always want to make sure that all of the clients have an out.
Yeah.
There's always a different way to do something. No matter how hard you think, there's still going to be one more way to do it.
But there's not a lot of the homes where it's like, oh my God, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
All the old wire. Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating. How about surge is always something that I love hearing how guys sell surge protection.
Yeah.
How do you bring it up? Because again, when I got into this years and years ago, it's like surge protection. Don't we all have those strips where we plug stuff in? I always thought that was fine, right? But yeah, but that's not the case. So how do you educate people on surge?
I mean, I would say, probably, it's the best protection for all your homes, like appliances, electronics. And usually when we're in there, we're usually sitting at the kitchen table or standing around like the island in the kitchen. I'm like, just take a look around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of control boards sitting inside of all these appliances. You have ovens, wall ovens, microwaves, dishwashers, stuff like that. And we haven't even gone outside yet to talk about your heat and air units.
Right.
So, I mean, with the ones that we offer, I just kind of let them know, like, how much they will, what they protect, what's the warranty, stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you always bring up surge if they don't have it in the house?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a code requirement.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
makes it easy in that way. You always lean on code. It's not my fault. It's code.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about lighting, right? Like all of a sudden, maybe you got called out for a ceiling fan call or an outlet fan, and all of a sudden, how do you bring up the idea? Because lighting is wild, like how much you can do with lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Always just amazed by and how much it's changed and evolved over the years. So how do you get someone to bring up, hey, have you ever thought about putting a different kind of light here or there? So how does that come up?
It's probably going to be, just more of like the open-ended questions, like what's the plans for like the home?
Okay.
And I just kind of make maybe like a general, like, or, a suggestion.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a ceiling fan, like, I love doing like 4 cans in like the corners of the rooms when you don't have like the light on like the ceiling fan, because you kind of get like that little bit of like a disco effect sometimes. And
right. So you do a ceiling fan, like, hey, Mr. Jones, have you ever thought about, like, do you know will you pull up like pictures?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pictures speak 1,000 words at all times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you're doing, even when you're doing your inspection, maybe you got someone older. Are you doing a lot of pictures? And
Every time.
Everything's pictures.
So I mean, if the homeowner's not going to follow along with me, we're doing show and tell. And when we have like our forms for like the evaluation, I don't even have that filled out yet, because I mean, I kind of challenge myself to maybe change it from no's to yeses, or good from bad to good.
Yeah.
Before like the end of the call, and usually I just leave that evaluation with them at the end of the job.
Okay. Very interesting. But show and tell, that's so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also then you have a record of what
you've
you've seen. When you, as a manager, I'm sure you're looking at pictures now, like of that customer, if it's a previous customer.
Yeah.
As a tech, were you looking at those?
Yeah.
To see what you're walking into.
Yeah, or maybe what was discussed, maybe like previously and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but a lot of it's just I'll go into it for myself, because having multiple eyes on a project, you might now see something that maybe someone else just kind of overlooked, or maybe someone missed.
Right. That's fascinating with the whole lighting situation, because that could probably evolve into, well, what about that room or that room? I'm sure once you open your customers' minds to that, I don't like how dark that room is, right? Mm-hmm. So But you just bring it up and then watch them kind of run with it.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that's fascinating. How about smokes? That's always,
It's a good
some
one.
guys love it. Some guys hate it. I'm like, what? I feel like it'd be an easy sell, but some people just don't like to bring it up. So, but
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's protection, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I want to make sure that, if they have kids, I mean, we typically, sleep with like the doors closed. What if something was to go out? I mean, there's a lot of videos on like YouTube where, people have like the cell phone chargers that, catch fire, which is unfortunate.
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things, we have to talk about it, regardless if they want to hear it or not. It's just one of those things.
So how do you bring it up? So like, say you're doing your inspection, I'm in the kitchen or whatever. You just hey Bob, I just want to bring you. You see why that's yellow? Is that like that conversation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey.
I mean, I usually bring it up. Were you aware that you do have expired smoke detection in
I
here?
didn't even know they're expired. And honest to God, I didn't know that until I got into this years ago. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, they expired.
Yeah. I mean, and they'd be at it. Usually I explain it to, it's kind of like a furnace filter. It's going to filter all the particles of air that go through the home.
Yeah.
Kind of like, could you imagine if you didn't change out, your furnace filter for the past 20 years? Like that smoke detector's been up there.
Yeah.
And really going to put, are you really going to trust that thing at the end of the day?
Yeah. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And then you leave it at that, or we go, hey, do you want me to write options, or you're just going to write
I
options?
mean, gauging the customer. I mean, I'm a big fan of doing like 3 verbal options.
Okay.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to take an order. I don't want to give an order.
Right.
So, I mean, I might be say, what we could do today is, we could just do like the smoke carbon combo in the hallway. If you want, I can get, hardwired ones into the bedroom. So if you want me to make like any sheetrock damages, we also have a super cool thing where, it's like a mesh system.
Yeah.
They all communicate with one another. There's no wiring involved, just gotta replace the batteries every year, but don't worry, we can come out here every year and do that for you with our membership. Kind of plant seeds.
Yeah. So what I like, you're starting to give them options.
Oh, yeah.
At each spot, even when we're talking the GFCIs, we're talking ceiling fans or lighting, you're going through options. And you want them to go, okay, yeah, I like that. Or, and then if they're like, no, you're still bringing it up, though, because certain like safety things, for sure.
Absolutely.
At the end, you're going to build an option for it. You brought up the club.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the first time you bring the club up, or do you?
It depends on the
earlier.
club.
Okay.
It all depends. I mean, if, since we offer like HVAC, it's an even easier thing to talk about now.
100%.
But it all depends. I mean, sometimes I sprinkle in like little bits and pieces of it in there. Like, oh, don't worry about that. We can take care of that for you with our membership or something along those lines. As a member,
Yeah.
we can get you all set up.
So when you bring up the membership, people are like, "Oh, membership? Like what? Some people still don't know about that." So how do you talk about the benefits of it?
Oh, so I mean, it gets us in there every single year. We're going to make sure that your system is healthy. It's kind of like your doctor's visit. You want to go there at least once a year to make sure that your body's good.
Right.
We're going to do that for your home's electric system. And not only that, our HVAC team's going to come out here and service your equipment twice a year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the HVAC part makes a lot.
Oh,
people have been conditioned that they should do that.
It's the cherry on the top. I'll say that right now. It makes it much easier to talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. So you've done some soft closes with me. It was a ceiling fan, and all of a sudden it turned into a panel, and there maybe it was a GFCI or whatever. We talked about when we ultimately sit down and start talking options. What does it look like? Do you have just 3 big options, or we've talked about all these things? Will you do, basically 12 different options because we talked about 4 different projects? So how do you present it to me?
It all depends on what we do. I mean, each call is entirely different. I mean, I've done one where we've done enough closing, and I asked the client, what would they like? Would you like me to put it in just one option? You could pick and choose what you want, kind of like an a la carte type deal.
Yeah.
Or if we just talked about like maybe it's like a bigger project, I'll do it room by room because it makes it easier. They could say, well, okay, I want to do the kitchen today. I want to do, my kids' bedrooms at the same time.
Right.
And then now they also have stuff that they can do in the other rooms, and they'll just pick those at like a later time.
Okay.
And maybe some of maybe if we're just doing like a diagnostic call.
Yeah.
It's everything that we've already talked about before. I'm not providing anything that we haven't talked on there. If I didn't get a chance to talk about smokes, I'm not putting it on there.
Sure. You got to talk about that's, by the way, that's a big, you just threw it out there, but I think a lot of people get hung up. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And people are like, we did it. What is this?
Yeah. It's confusing. I mean, I was guilty of it myself. So I just kind of picked up on it as I progressed.
Yeah.
But it's all going to depend on, the call base or what I'm doing there at the job.
When you deliver options, you like to make sure we sit down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you get people to go, Tim, I got stuff going on. Like, I'm busy. How do you explain to me the value? Hey, we need to sit down and talk about this.
It goes along even before then. You have to check in with them because I might let them know, like, hey, I'm going to be creating options and I'm going to need 30 minutes of your time.
Okay, so you plan that.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to talk about that. That's okay. So I know what's coming.
Right. And then from there, if the guy's, guy or woman or just go and said, okay, I'm a meeting in 15 minutes. I'm like, well, how long is the meeting?
Yeah.
Because I still have other stuff I need to get done anyways. Right. I don't want to force them to sit down with me and now I'm time crunching myself.
Yeah.
Which is just not good.
No, the body language and that goes that whole thing with confidence, delivering this.
Yeah, even if I got to wait an extra hour to go ahead and sit down at the table, I'm going to wait for that opportunity.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes into, maybe some trial closing and stuff like that, or closing those objections too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of resetting appointments. I reset appointments all the time.
Hey, wanted to interrupt really fast. You're hearing Tim explain in great detail how he runs a service call. It's all part of a process, but he didn't develop it on its own. Tim learned it through training, and now he's training other electricians on how to effectively communicate with homeowners, deliver better service, and yes, ultimately generate more revenue. Electricians watching, do you have a defined process on how to run a service call that's proven to be effective? How about you business owners? What processes do you have in your business currently? Or do you feel like you're too busy putting out fires to implement any? At Certain Path, we're about a lot of things, but two of the biggest are training and processes. Without those two, you'll never achieve the success you wanted. So let's talk processes. You're busy, but you know in your heart that you need them. Do you have 2 minutes to read an email while eating a fast lunch in the truck or at your desk? Yes, I know you do. If so, you need to subscribe to Certain Path's free 12-part email series called the Strong Foundation Series. Our Strong Foundation Series breaks down the key building blocks we use to help contractors scale the right way without burning out or guessing what to do next. You'll learn little things like how to price profitably, how to set goals for your team, and how to stop doing everything yourself. And if you sign up, you'll also unlock a free one-on-one strategy call with one of our contractor coaches, people who've built multi-million-dollar businesses in the trades and can help you map out your next move. You can start the Strong Foundation Series today. Just hit the link in the episode description below. You'll see it right there, Strong Foundation Series. So don't wait until things are on fire to start building your foundation right. Check us out today.
I feel the struggle, in HVAC and roofing, everyone's been conditioned to get both decision makers there.
Absolutely.
Those trades do a great job. Joe and Jay ain't going to be there, but electrical and plumbing, it doesn't happen all that often, I feel like. And then all of a sudden, I thought, oh, I'm just having you come out to change a ceiling fan out. And all of a sudden, they had a Federal Pacific panel. And they have, all of a sudden, this project's turned into $10,000. And I thought it was a $300 because people don't know what things cost. So will you reset it all the time? Or will you call, say I'm home, my wife's working, and you're like, this is a lot. Will you say, let's get Lindsay, my wife, on the phone? You guys want to talk about this? Will you ask them to do that? How do you avoid that one-legger where you're like, you're ultimately not closing it because as a homeowner, I'm like, oh, my wife's not here to make this decision. Then all of a sudden I ghost you.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid that?
So I usually ask, who all is going to be a part of like today's project?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like usually one of the first things I usually ask when I walk through that door. So now I know maybe, one of the spouses is just not there presently.
Right.
And what I'll do is if it turns into maybe something we're getting higher in the ticket.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll be like, there's a lot of things for me to kind of go over. I'm going to get back with my manager. Is there a time where both of y'all can meet me?
Yeah.
Because, there's a ton of stuff that I just need to go over, and I want to make sure that we give you the most accurate pricing for everything.
I like that you said project.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think people think of it as projects. They're like, it's a repair. You're just doing this and getting out, right?
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's a project. There's a lot of things that we need to consider. This is that certain use of certain words. I think it changes the mindset of a customer.
Yeah.
All right. So you'll reset the appointment. So you sit down when you present all this stuff.
No, absolutely not. I mean,
okay,
I'm waiting.
Okay.
I mean, maybe what I'll do is that they ask me for, what do you think this is going to cost? I'll price condition them.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, because I don't want them to be sticker shock on the time when I come back after hours on the weekend.
That's true.
Something along those lines. I want to at least, gauge like the interest to see if it's even worth my time as well as theirs.
Right.
because maybe we're not seeing eye to eye.
Okay. We always shoot a little higher than what it is, or
I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at price conditioning, and you know, I mean, I've sold like a lot of panels and stuff like that, so I'm pretty good at
you'll have that conversation at the panel. What this is to replace? Well, it's going to be $3,000, or I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, typically, I find that if you give them like a range, within like $3,000,
Yeah.
you're better off. If you start giving them ones like $5,000-$10,000, it'll be like, well, what is it?
Right.
Is it $5,000 more? Or is it $10,000 more? But if it's
Right.
within $1,000 to $3,000 difference, so this can cost you anywhere between $9,000 to $12,000, depending if you want some safety upgrades.
Okay.
And I might now plant that or system upgrades.
Yeah. So say I'm like, whoa, like I'm stunned by that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you reel me back in to see the value in investing in that? Like, on a panel, like it's like, whoa, I didn't, So how do you kind of go, hey, this is a good thing for, you know what I'm saying? How do you sell it, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like, showing empathy. I might explain to them, well, if you've been in the home for, 20 years, I mean, how old's your HVAC units?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we just got those replaced.
Right.
Or how old's your roof?
Right.
Oh, yeah, well, we just got that done.
Right.
There's a lifespan to everything electrical components on that part. And unfortunately, right now, it's the time for you.
Yeah.
And, now sometimes it kind of breaks down like that mask per se.
Sure.
And now we can maybe start having like the conversations. And, like I said, I'm always going to give them a note.
Yeah.
We have to give them a note so that way they don't feel like they're forced into doing like a $9,000 to $12,000 project.
Yeah.
I might be like, but don't worry, I can create you multiple great options. Not at that price point. And we can start. Maybe I can create you a roadmap to take you from point A to Z at a time and pace and a budget that works best for you.
Yeah.
Did you have a budget in mind?
Right. Oh, you'll ask right. You have a budget,
Mhm.
right? Okay, that's nice.
I'm a big fan of using like a roadmap.
Yeah.
Because that kind of goes back to, I want to get the capital. I don't want to get the whole state just yet. If somebody wants to give me the state, I'll take it.
For sure.
Sure.
But you don't want to get kicked out of the house.
No.
Because then it's a bad reviews and that's a bad word of mouth.
Mhm.
So I like it. All right. So we've had these conversations throughout the house, and I'm like, okay, I see the value, but still, I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot. And he said, this is this and this is that. When we do sit down, when you present stuff, is it like a finance? Do you do a lot of financing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's just, I'm sure it's the lowest, the monthly payment that.
Oh, yeah.
money is?
15-year term, 12.99% interest rate.
All right. So that's one. Do you do the same as cash one option too, or?
Yeah, so I mean, so a lot of times how it would look on like my options, since we use service site, it's going to say member. If we can do like a capital improvement, it will say member pre-tax. I don't ever show them normally pre-tax. I want them to become members that day.
Yeah.
And I'll have like or as low as.
Okay.
And then it'll be whatever the number would be.
Okay. Now if they go, hey, well, financing, so then it becomes a different conversation. It's closed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like you just give them how many different financing options do you guys provide?
We could provide quite a bit. I mean, we have a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, 15-year that we offer between, Good Leap and also with Green Sky as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So. All right. So you've shown me these options. Tim, this is a lot of money. It's like, even, I know you came out for the ceiling fan, and by the way, if you come out for the ceiling fan call, before you do this inspection, do you start that job and close that job before you do everything, or do you wait to do that?
Depends on the call. I mean, it honestly depends on like the homeowner.
Okay.
I mean, I've done one where I've looked at everything and I give them an option. Okay, let's get that fan up. Okay, I want to start building that trust now, and I want to start creating that value that I'm gonna do exactly what you want me to do while I'm here.
Right.
But there's still more to be talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because some people make the mistake of going, well, I got called for the ceiling fan, but I'm going to run these inspections, and all of a sudden I've got, and like, whoa, like I think it guys that I'm interviewing more and more, close that job, get that first one going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're in the home, you're doing more rapport, you're talking to them, and then you close the stuff. But okay, let's go. John, all this stuff's going on. You've got, and it's all service tied. And you don't use paper, right? It's all this other stuff. But Tim, this is a lot of money. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I should get other bids. Like, do you get that a lot? It's the other bids, or you feel like you've built enough rapport, you don't face it a whole bunch?
I would say, I mean, I usually don't face it a whole lot, but when I do, it's going to be, well, what is your concern?
Yeah.
It's just now I'm just redirecting that because I'm an S person now. I don't like confrontation.
Right.
So the best way for me to combat, essentially maybe, a confrontation now, it would be to ask an open-ended question. Because I just want to get, the homeowner thinking about it a little bit more.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, did I not build enough value to justify the price? Did I not build enough credibility within myself?
Yeah.
Or within the company?
Right.
Is that the reason that you want to get maybe a second opinion?
Well, you phrase it just that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice. And they'll go, well, no, it's just a lot of money. Will you go, hey, the people that want time, will you just like step away for a minute, let them think about it and process it? Yeah. Okay. All right. What other common objections do you get? Or maybe it's not, maybe you don't get a bunch of objections. They just go, we'll just do this option instead and we'll think about the other thing.
I think by providing people with an O, it's tough not to close at that point in time. I'm not going for home runs or grand slams every single time.
Right.
Me personally, I'd rather just get, if I can just do $2,000 for every single job.
Right.
That's a good year.
I like that because you provide these multiple options on different things, it becomes a little easier or more, you can handle, okay, well, it's a lot of money to do everything. I see the importance of doing everything, right? But I'm like, I don't want to spend 20 grand today or whatever, but I'll do those 2 or 3 things. And now at least I know that other stuff probably should be done too. So that way you're not getting kicked out of the house with a service fee only. Now that you're coaching techs, when you see the service fee only, like what happens? What is that? How does that come up where guys are getting a service fee only ticket?
I just want to know what's the final objection.
Yeah.
And, they might say, well, they just didn't want to do it right. Like, no, like what is the final objection?
Right.
Because if you can't tell me what the final objection that you got at the table,
Yeah.
I want the homeowner to tell me it's price.
Yeah.
And if they tell me that's price, I'm still going to go back from like, I completely understand this is a lot of money that we're going, that you're willing to invest in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go outside. Let me talk to my manager. Or actually, better yet, I'm going to call him right now. And I'll put, a manager on the phone, and I want them to do that when they're sitting there at the table. So that way they're not fudging numbers or making their, creating that anxiety at the table.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that like now that you're getting that call with a homeowner? How do you handle that? Like, what's that conversation like about the project? How do you kind of sell it then over the phone?
A lot of it will be, I just want to, address maybe some concerns, like, is the price point, and we might go ahead and, tell them like, well, we can always do like, like, what are your primary concerns for today?
Right.
Because we'd be more than happy to, work with you, kind of get those things sorted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just guiding people to maybe not do all of the work all at once, because like I said, we always have an out.
Right.
And I just, we just want to make sure that they're getting exactly what they want at the end of the day at a budget that fits them best.
Do you feel like when you get those service fee only, it's because they felt like they had to do everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's like a confusion, or maybe the tech didn't explain it like, hey, no, we can do X, Y, and Z and not everything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting. Let's say when you're on the job, say it's end of the day, your last call of the day, and it's a big job. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, we're going to have to, will you get it all done that day? Will you stay till 10 o'clock at the house, or will you reset it? How do you handle those?
It all depends. If I'm going out there to like price the job, I had one where I was like, I got there like 4 o'clock in like the afternoon. The guy wanted some light fixtures done. It was an old farmhouse. So I pretty much just said, well, I'm going to go ahead. We'll get these fixtures up. I gave him the price for you. You allowed me to do it. Now I'm taking a look at the entire system. I was talking with the gentleman. I just said, hey, there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about. I do not have the time of day to talk about for today.
Yeah.
Can I come back?
Yeah.
And then we ended up coming back there, a week later at, in the afternoon. And I had everything, we talked about everything. I didn't have any options together. I showed him all the pictures. He was concerned. I asked him, what's your what are your concerns moving forward?
Yeah.
And he said, well, safety. And I said, perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything into one option. I said, it's going to run you about, $20,000 to $23,000. And he said, oh, I thought it was going to be more.
Wait a minute. Hold on. It's interesting you said safety. So when you start talking about projects, do you condition it that way? Like, I know you said you don't want to use safety to be as a scare tactic.
I want them to tell me that.
Okay.
I don't want me to say that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like, even when you're talking about, like, we had the ceiling fan options and we've got the outlets, you don't do you not bring that angle up? Like this is more, there's in electrical especially, there's the safety and then there's the glitz and glamour of making the home look nice. Do you try and, I'm going to push the safety stuff first because that's what's most important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you say that though without trying to scare?
Well, this is pretty concerning that we have, I just, like I say, it kind of goes back into like painting like that visual picture, could you imagine if this were to continue and stuff like that, and kind of progressive from
So, and again, that was the conversation you had when I was at the panel or I was at the outlet that wasn't a GFCI in the kitchen. So, so you've just been painting these pictures, planting the seeds along the way. So there's no shock when you sit down and you show, other than maybe I'm surprised how expensive it is or whatever. But again, that's why you have the financing. That's why you have the club to bring it down.
Yeah, a great question to ask them is, what are your concerns? If they tell me safety, I mean, we're writing big tickets now.
Yeah.
Because I want them to tell me that that's their primary concern for like their home.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Tim, kind of wrapping up. You're coaching guys now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, especially, I don't know how many new people you get, but people that are watching, say they're a new electrician, new to service, like you, maybe, however many years ago, what's the number one thing a service electrician should be doing to be successful?
I mean, putting the work. I mean, if you're struggling to, maybe produce like higher tickets, I mean, just do a little self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's as simple as, just tweaking one thing within your process and the whole entire outcome changes.
Yeah.
I mean, I like going into every single day. We talk about mindset. I mean, that's the most important part.
Right.
Don't bring the negativity from the previous job into your secondary jobs or third job.
Yeah. What motivates you to be successful now, to help other guys be successful? What drives you day by day?
I mean, I just like the rewarding aspect of, just helping people. I mean, obviously, we all do it. We all like it for like the money.
Yeah.
I mean, money's nice.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's definitely more of like a feel good feeling. I got, as an electrician, make people's homes safer.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to help people out. So I mean, that's like my main job, the love of the day.
Last question. You're at Certain Path Expo here.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first one you've been? You've been to a couple of these before.
Yep. So 3. So
So you've been all 3 that you're the crown champ. You got to walk. That's great. Not everyone brings their crown champs, but that's great.
Yeah.
So what's it like being around all these other high performers and all the energy? What do you like about it?
Oh man, it's you can definitely go ahead and converse with some other techs out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of see what they're seeing, or maybe ask them some questions. We're able to, converse a little bit more, and maybe even have like a friendly competition like we have already going on. So
yeah, we got to talk about that. You and home team, you guys have gotten to be buddies, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How that just came up just because going to expos and and then what happened? They sent you a gift or something?
Oh, they sent us Josh Randall as a cardboard cutout with all of his crown champ rings and his chains on. So Josh, I'm coming for you, buddy.
Josh, we got to get you on. I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet, but I can't only have so many home team folks on at one time. But anyway, that's hilarious. Well, hey, Tim, thank you so much. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I think you provided a lot of value for folks. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here.
The Successful Contractor podcast is part of the Certain Path family. Certain Path builds successful home service businesses and has for 25 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of 1,000 plus strong. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With Certain Path, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.